Very good morning to all of you students. I hope you all are very happy and doing great and feeling very excited to learn new things in HTML. So in this video, we are going to discuss about some more basics of the HTML and also we will learn what about the HTML attributes and what are the HTML elements, right? So let us start our lecture, Basics of HTML. In case of HTML, any document can be created by using any text editor. Text, there are basically so many text editors are available in the market. Like you can write your code in Notepad, you can write your code in Sublime Text, and you can write your code in Visual Studio Code and save the text file by using extension that is .html or .htm. Once you saved an HTML document, the file can be opened as a web page in the browser. So after you have created your new file and you have written your HTML code there in the text editor. So in order to open that file, you have to just click on the web browser which is available in your computer and to see the output on the web page. Now come to the next point. What are the features of HTML? It's easy to learn and it's easy to use. It's platform independent, which means that it can run it can run on any kind of platform, which means that if you are going to write your code in HTML, it can run on any machine. It is basically machine independent. You can say there that so machine independent or platform independent means that it can run on any operating system, either it's Windows, Unix, Linux, Mac, whatsoever operating system is there in any computer, right? Images, videos, audios can be added to the web page. So this is the new feature in case of HTML5. So on your web page you can also add images as well as audio clips and video clips on the web page. Hypertext can be added to the text. Hypertext means that by using hypertext links, you can move in forward as well as in the backward direction in order uh, to move to the different web pages of the website. As we know that a website is basically consists of so many number of web pages. In order to move from one page to another page, there will be linking on that pages by using a hyperlink. So hypertext can be added to the text. It is a markup language, as we have discussed in the previous video that um, to create a web page, we basically to create a static web design, we use this HTML markup language. Now come to the next point. Yeah, you can see here an example. This is the first statement in case of HTML document. This is the doc type, which will define you the type of the document, declaration of the document, right? And HTML code will always start from the HTML tag. This is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. Within these two tags, you have to write each and everything. I have said you earlier in the previous video that in HTML, within the HTML tag, there will be basically two parts. First part is the head part and the second part will be body part. Head part will contain the title, head part. This is the opening head and this is the closing head. And within the head part, you have to define the title of that web page. So here, this is the opening tag for title and this is the closing tag for title. And you are giving here demo web page. So within the title, you have to write content here, demo web page. So after coming out of head part, after giving the title for the web page, you have to describe all the contents within the body part in order to display contents on the web page. So this is the body part and within the body you have to write your content which you want to display on the web page. So h1 is the closing opening tag here and this one is the closing tag. So within that these tags you are writing here, welcome to brilliant makers, and H is basically for heading and P is basically for paragraph writing. So within the paragraph you are writing here hello world. So this is some important things which we have discussed earlier. Now, yeah, come to the next point. What are the advantages of HTML? What are the disadvantages of HTML? And as I said to you earlier, that it's very easy to learn, right? We have to just keep in mind some tags, and by using their tags we can easily write our uh, HTML code, and we can get our uh, websites. So HTML is used to build websites. So a website can be created by HTML simply. It is ported by all the web browsers. Yeah. So in case of HTML, there is no restriction that you have to use only and only Google Chrome, either Mozilla Firefox. So you can use any web browser which is available on your computer. It can be integrated with other languages like CSS, JavaScript, etc. So it basically works together with CSS as well as JavaScript. CSS means that cascading style sheets. Why we use CSS? Because HTML is used to create static web page. It basically gives the basic structure, or it works as a skeleton to give the structure to the web page. But if you want to beautify that web page, in case you have to use CSS, it will be used for the purpose of beautification, to give decorative colors, so many things in the CSS. And JavaScript is basically used to make all the things become operational, to to make all the things functional, right? Suppose you, by using HTML on your web page, you have created one button, right? But if you want, after pressing that button, some output has to be done, some event has to be occur. So for that purpose you have to use JavaScript, right? Now come to the next point. What are the disadvantages of HTML? HTML can only create static web pages. So for dynamic web pages, other languages has to be done. So HTML is nothing else. It is basically used to create static web pages. So it is not useful in case of dynamic web pages. To make it dynamic, you have to use other languages, like you have to use CSS, JavaScript. Now come to the next point. A large amount of code has to be written to create a simple web page. So if you just want to add two or three elements on your web page, in that case you have to write all the tags, like you have to write HTML opening tag, closing tag, as well as you have to define their head tag, you have to define title tag, and then you can write what you want to print on that web page. So a large amount of code has to be written there in order to create a simple web page. So this is the disadvantage of HTML. Now come to the next point. The security feature is not good, as anybody can easily use your code, because it's very easy to learn. So anybody can use your code in their own coding language. So its security is not good. Now come to the next point. What about the HTML editors? HTML editors. So while you are going to write your HTML code, what kind of editor you should have to use? HTML text editors are used to create and modify web pages. In order to create your new web page, and in order to modify the contents which have been already written on the web page, you have to use text editor. HTML codes can be written in text editor, including Notepad. So in your PCs, in your laptops, or Notepad is already available there. So you can write there also HTML code. One just needs to write HTML any text editor, and the save with the file with the extension .html, as I told you earlier that. So some of the popular HTML text editor are like Notepad, Sublime Text Editor, Visual Studio Code Editor. I basically prefer to use Visual Studio Code Editor because uh, it's very powerful tool and enables user to write just one thing, and after that it will uh, provide you so many other features. So I basically use Visual Studio Code Editor, VS Code you can say here. So you can also download from the Google VS Code Editor in your computer. Now come to the point, HTML comments. What about the HTML comments? In any programming language, as you know that either it's C language, C++, or Java, any programming language, comments are basically used to provide uh, comments are basically inserted in within the program, because to provide accessibility to the user, that any unknown user who can easily read the data from the who can easily read the your program easily, right? So in case of HTML comments are basically used to provide easy accessibility to the unknown user who don't know about anything about your HTML code, so he can easily understand and learn your code, right? So it is basically to provide visibility and readability to the new user. These are used to insert comments in the HTML code. It's a good practice of coding, so that the coder and the reader, coding who is doing coding, but reader who is going to read only the coded code, the reader can get help to understand the code. So it's a simple piece of code that is ignored by the web browser, that is not displayed by the web browser. As you know that in case of any programming language, the comments you write in your code, it is not displayed in the output. It is just for the readability, to provide more readability, more accessibility to the new user, so that he can read your code very easily. Now move to the next point. Yeah, what about the syntax of the HTML code? What about the syntax of a comment in case of HTML? So syntax is basically written by uh, these are the open bracket and these are the closing bracket. Uh, this is and exclamation sign, and then within these signs you have to write your comment, right? So suppose here is the HTML opening tag and this is a closing tag, and within that you have to write body opening and body closing. And here heading is given. Within the heading, opening and closing tags, you are supposed to writing gigs for gigs. So in order to uh, provide usability to the user, before this you have to write your comment. So this is heading tag. This comment is basically telling about the all about the this heading tag, and it would not be displayed by the web browser. Yeah, and this is single line comment. So this is one more element you have printed here. So before this you are going to write here single line comment, it will not be displayed on the web browser. So HTML comments are nothing else, but they are used to increase readability and understandability of the user. Yeah, come to the next topic. What are the HTML elements? HTML elements are the collection of three things. You have to keep in mind that HTML element is a collection of three things. First one is the starting tag, second one is the ending tag, and the content which you are going to write in between the starting as well as the ending tag. So these are the three things which consist basically HTML element. So it's collection of start and end tag with the content inserted in between of them. Suppose you're going to write here paragraph opening tag and you are writing here hello world closing tag of paragraph. So HTML element is basically consist of three things: opening tag, closing tag, and the contents which you have been written in between the these two tags, right? So HTML elements are building blocks of web pages representing different type of content such as headings, paragraphs, links, and images. So many HTML elements are there, which we will discuss later. So HTML is not case sensitive. It's not case sensitive. So you can write your code either it's in capital letters or in small letters. It doesn't matter. HTML tags are not case sensitive. So B, do you know B means the same as B, small b. Capital B is similar to the small b for bold of text. If you want to do your text to be bold, in that case you have to write B tag, that is bold tag. Now move to the next topic. Yeah, you can see here that I have taken one more example. This is the paragraph opening and this is the paragraph closing tag. And within this, you have inserted your content like welcome to Brilliant Makers channel. This is the name of my channel, as you know that. And this is the content which you have been inserted between the opening and closing tag. So together, these three things make the HTML element. So HTML element is consisting of opening tag, closing tag, and the content. Now come to the next point. This topic is very important in HTML, right? HTML attributes. HTML attributes. So in this video, we will discuss about some attributes. Then remaining attributes we will discuss in the next video. So see, all HTML elements have attributes that will provide additional information about that particular element. Suppose you are you have an element. Suppose element is here is paragraph, right? So about paragraph, some additional information you want to give, right? Uh, what is the font size of that content which is written between the opening and closing tag of the that tag. Suppose you are going to give here paragraph element, right? So at in order to provide additional information about the content which you are going to write about between the opening and closing tag, and what are the attribute names, and there will be corresponding attribute value. So suppose you want to give for the paragraph content, you are going to display font size. You want to give a font family like either it's a Times New Roman, it's a Arial, and you can also provide the color, right? And these all are the attributes. So any HTML element can have attributes that will provide its about its additional information. It takes two parameters. First one is the name of the attribute, and the second one is the value of the attribute. As you can see here that attribute name, this will be the syntax. Attribute name is equal to the within the double quotes attribute value. You can use here either single quotes or double quotes. There will be no problem. Attributes are always added to the start tag of an HTML. You have to keep in mind one thing that HTML, while you are going to add additional information about the HTML tag, HTML element, you have to add only in the opening tag there, right? Attributes always come in name value pair like this, attribute name, and there will be corresponding value to this attribute. Attribute value should and always be enclosed in quotes. So attribute value should always be enclosed in quotes. Either it's single quotes or double quotes, it doesn't matter, right? The name parameter takes the name of the property we would like to assign to the element, and the value takes the property value or extent of the property names. It's you have to listen one thing. Name parameter means that it will define the name of the attribute which you want to provide property to the given element, right? And corresponding to that attribute name, there will be attribute value. Either it's in pixels, either it's in percentage. So it can be there. Suppose you have created one image on the web browser, but you want to give some specified width as well as to the height. So that purpose, you have to use attribute that is width as well as height. So these are the attributes of that image, right? Let us learn all these things by doing it practically. Yeah. So our first HTML attribute is source attribute. Our first HTML attribute is basically source HTML. So why we basically use source, where we use source HTML? Suppose on your web browser, you want to display your image. Image is basically stored in the in file in your computer, right? So to display on the web browser, you have to give the link of that image, right? And that link you have to give in the source. So if we want to insert an image into a web page, you have to insert a image on a web page, then we need to use the image tag. Which tag will be used? Image tag, that it will be represented by img. Always remember that for image tag there will be no closing tag. There will be no closing tag because it's a self closing tag. And the source attribute here, we need to specify the address of the image. We need to specify the address of the image as the attributes value inside the double quotes. See here, just we have mentioned here one example we have taken. HTML is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. Within this, you have head part, and within that head part, you have title part, source attribute. Because we are going to discuss about the source attribute, so that's why for easy for for the convenience of the students, I'm just giving the title name source attribute. Now come to the next point. Within the body you have to use image part, and see here, this is the image tag, and within that image tag you are going to use your source attribute. You are going to define here source attribute or src, which means that source means that source from which, from where you have to uh, take your file. So suppose I am going to use here source equal to double quotes start and double quotes end here, thumbnail png. Suppose this image is basically stored in on your pc, and you have to give the, you have to just give the file name and a path name here, right? In the source. So source is the attribute name, and this one which is enclosed within the double quotes, this is the attribute value, right? So let us do it by using, by doing a code. Come to the, yeah, I'm going to create new file by going to file, take new file, give name like attribute, because we are going to discuss about all these things about attribute. So attribute dot, because we are going to put everything in HTML, so extension will be HTML, right? HTML dot HTML, enter, right? A new file has been created. You can write your code here. Doc type HTML, then HTML opening tag and closing tag. Within HTML, you have to write each and everything. Suppose you are going to given here head part that is containing title. In the title, you have to like you want to write source attribute, because you are going to learn source attribute, right? Then after coming out of head tag, you have to use body part. Suppose I'm taking H1, that is for heading. Within heading, you are going to write here, click on the link given below to see the image, right? This is the heading, and now you are going to use image tag, IMG, right? And in case of image tag, you have to give attribute, that is source, from where you have to take file, right? Source is equal to, within double quotes, you have to write the name of the path, thumbnail dot png. This is the image that is saved on my PC. So this is basically the path, and control S. Now we have saved the file. Remember one thing, that output of all the HTML code always will be displayed on the web browser. Now, yeah, you can see here that with the name of the file HTML, you can open it. You can open web browser. Yeah, as we have written in the HTML code, that is, click on the link given below to see the image. And we have given the, within the image, source, from where the source has image has to be taken. And you can see here that heading as well as the image is displayed on the web browser, right? Now come to the next point. Yeah, so we have discussed about all the things about source attribute theoretically as well as practically. Now come to the next point, HTML alt tag. So basically it means that basically alt attribute is using here. Alt means that alternate attribute. So suppose you have used image tag, but and within the image tag you have used your source attribute, and but in case of source file, the name of the file is has been given incorrectly, right? So in case of thumbnail.png, suppose you have given thumbnail.png. So if, by mistake, if the name of the file is not given correctly, in that case, that image will not be opened in the web browser. So in that case, the alternate attribute will work, right? So this is an alternate tag that is used to show or display something if the primary attribute is basically image tag, fails to display the image assigned to it, right? If within the image tag source attribute is failed to display the content on the web browser, in that case alternate attribute will be able to display some content on the web browser instead of that particular image. This can be used to describe the image to a developer which is actually sitting at the coding end. So it it is basically to describe the image who is to the programmer who is going to write the code. So see here, HTML opening tag and HTML closing tag is here, and within that there will be two parts. First one is the head part, and then there will be body part. Head part, and within head there will be title. So alt attribute, because we are going to discuss about alt attribute here, and then we are going to take body part. So within body, suppose if this is the comment section. If the image is not found or image field is left blank, the alternate value get displayed. So suppose you have given any image and source is like this. So alt is equal to the logo. So let us discuss it. by doing some practical. See here, uh, I have used image tag here and given the source attribute that is containing the attribute value that is thumbnail.png. But suppose I have typed it incorrectly, right? I have write it like thumb, not thumbnail. It's basically thumbnail. So alt attribute to display in the output, alt is equal to, in the double quotes we are going to write suppose the logo, control S. So because it will the file is not saved, the link is not given correctly, so in that case image will not be displayed in the output, but alternate attribute will contribute to the output. So there, see what will happen, control S. Now go to the web browser. Yeah, yeah. Before going to see the new results, you have to refresh it. Refresh it. Yeah, you can see here that click on the link given below to see the image. This remains same because we have not changed anything else in this case, and image is not going to display because we have given incorrect path. So the logo, so the alternate attribute is going to display, that is the logo part, right? So this is basically, this is nothing else, this is basically for the convenience of the coder, because if it is not available, if we are not going to take alternate attribute, suppose, and this image is not going to display on the web browser, so it will create confusion in the mind of coder, that what happened, that I have given the same, I have given image attribute and I have given the image source attribute to provide the path also to the image, but image has not displayed, what happened. So this question, in order to reduce this confusion, we have basically used alternate attribute to write something, right, in place of a source attribute if it fails to display output in the web browser. Now come to the next point. Now come to the next point. What about HTML width and height, right? What about HTML width and height attribute? This is also regarding the image attribute. In case of image attribute, image tag, sorry, in case of image tag, we have to take one thing, that is to provide source file, and then alternate attribute, and there will be third thing, that is in order to change the width and height of the image, to in order to display smaller image, in order to display large image, whenever you want to, this is basically depends upon the requirement of the person. So this attribute is used to adjust the width and height of an image, right? So HTML tag is there, and within the HTML there is head part, that is within head width and height. This is basically name of the title we are going to give for the convenience of students. Now come to the next point, body part. So within the body, you can see here that image is basically the image tag, and within image you have given source file and width and height. So you can give width as well as height in pixels. Px means that pixels, it can be 300 pixels, 100 pixels, right? So let us do it practically. Now I'm going to correct my file name. I have given source attribute, alternate attribute, and here I'm going to use width attribute. Width equal to, suppose I'm going to give here 200 pixels, 200 pixels, right? And I also going to give height attribute, that is height, height is equal to, within double quotes, source 150 pixels. Control S. So see what will be the output. Going to the web browser, refresh it. You can see here that you have reduced the size of your image. Earlier the image of the image size of that image was like from here to here, but in order to reduce the size of the image you can use width and the height attribute. I hope all these things have been clear to you, and because I have explained theoretically as well as practically all other attributes we are going to discuss in the next video. Till that time you have to revise all the previous concept, and if you like my video, please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.